We're in the trenches. Bucks battles, tales from the benches.
Hello, everybody. This is Ian Beckles, and welcome back to In the Trenches. Nothing's better than Victory Mondays, but before we get to that, we got to pay some bills, and this podcast, webcast, show on YouTube wouldn't be possible without my people at Manny and Gordon. So go check them out at fightnegligence.com. All right, let's get to that Buccaneer game. Buccaneers win 23-3. Let's not get it twisted. Going to New Orleans and winning in New Orleans is hard all the time. As somebody who did it probably 8 times in my career, I off the top of my head, I do not remember winning in New Orleans. Now, we were not great football teams in the 90s, unfortunately. But as you can see, or ask Tristan Wirfs how hard it is to play in New Orleans, okay? Because I've been asked numerous times, where's the hardest place to play in the NFL? And my answer is New Orleans, cut and dry, not even close. That's the loudest stadium on the planet. I remember playing there my rookie year and looking up to see why Vinny wasn't speaking. And I looked up and I saw his mouth moving, and then I knew I was in trouble. And the rules have changed to where you used to be able to bluff people back in the day. You can't do that anymore. But to not hear the snap count really takes away the only advantage that offensive linemen have. So going to New Orleans and winning there 23-3 is a big deal regardless. That being said, I don't think New Orleans is a very good football team. They don't look very well coached, and they didn't look that damn talented yesterday. Now, the Buccaneers were a big reason for that on one side of the ball. Now, going into the bye week, 6-2 is a beautiful thing. As far as bye weeks go, I hear people talking about bye weeks. I hated bye weeks. All right, if there was people say, well, we have injuries. Well, there's not going to be a week where the Bucs don't have injuries anymore. They're going to have injuries every single week. So this week is not going to be any better than next week or the week after that. Personally, I hated bye weeks. Just added a week to the season. And we were even involved, I don't remember what year it was, early 90s, but they had 2 bye weeks one year. So we had an 18-week season, and it sucked. So there's some people are going to be blessed. Hopefully the Bucky Irvins and the Mike Evans and guys like that, Gadecki, hopefully they figure out a way to get back on that football field after the bye, because we could definitely use them offensively, that is for sure. Now, listening to sports talk and everybody talking on the radio and, all the experts, a lot of people are talking about the refereeing, okay? I never blame the refereeing for wins or losses. I just don't want to do it because usually it evens out. If the refereeing sucks, it usually evens out on both sides. Last week, I heard people bitching and moaning, and listen, a lot of it has to do with betting and gambling, and I understand. But last week, it sure seemed like the referees use the replay and the situation to get the right call. And it went against the Buccaneers. And I didn't bitch about it. I didn't. But this week, I'm going to bitch a little bit because, first of all, Antoine Winfield Jr. was standing in the back of the end zone twice and didn't get credited for a touchdown. Now, the one play where was Jamel Dean, I believe, did his Peanut Tillman punch and got the ball out. Clearly a fumble. Antoine Winfield Jr. was not down, and there was not a whistle. I didn't hear it. Clearly no players heard it because nobody slowed down on the field. Then the referee said, well, we blew a whistle. And then they went back and replayed it on television, and there was no whistle. I don't know if they're covering their ass. I don't know what it is. This looks bad, though. And listen, I'm usually on the side of referees because the game is very fast, and it's hard to make, decisions that quick. The game's fast. But in that situation, you're just covering your ass, and you're covering your ass for the wrong reasons. I didn't get it. I didn't understand. What do you mean you blew a whistle? If you blew a whistle, we'd be able to hear it on the replay, and there was no whistle. So, if I was Buccaneers, I'd be pretty damn pissed off about that. And listen, they won the game, it's all good, but there was a lot of covering of their own asses going on. If you look at that statistically, that game yesterday, the Buccaneers played against the Saints. Once again, they won 23-3, and the Saints weren't winning that. They weren't winning that game. They weren't scoring. They couldn't score. Our Bucs defense looked great. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But if you look at the statistics, The Buccaneers lost in every statistical category except for turnovers, and that was 4-1, which is obviously a huge turnover. But as good as I watched the Buccaneers defense look, but when I look at the statistics, it didn't look that way. Like the Saints were 8 for 16 on third down and 2 for 4 on fourth down. 8 for 16 on third down? That is a terrible statistic. The Saints had 71 plays and the Buccaneers had 56 plays. 8 of them from the one. So the Saints had the ball, they just couldn't do anything with it. And I'll take that Buccaneer defense anytime because at times that looked like the late 90s, early 2000s Buccaneer defense at times, okay? But offensively, I wasn't feeling it. The last 2 games offensively, this offense has been very disjointed. Our offensive line is not playing well. We're not running the ball particularly well. We're not making great decisions. Baker's not being MVP Baker, okay? And it hasn't looked great in the last 2 weeks, unfortunately. Now, let's get to the goal line and the 8 attempts at getting it into the end zone, and they did get it in on the 8th play. Okay, that's 2 different drives, obviously. They got stuffed on the first one, 4 straight plays. Now, you want to find out where the problem is. But I had a problem everywhere with the play calling, okay? First of all, the play calling was so, well, but if you're great at what you do, you could be vanilla, okay? I just thought the handoffs took too long. I just didn't think there was no creativity in anything, nobody pulling. It was just guys going downhill and us getting our ass kicked. I thought the play calling was terrible. The offensive line play was terrible. We didn't move anybody off the ball. Nobody. We lost on the first one, I believe. They showed it from the back of the lineman, and Barton was sitting down on his butt. Now, I didn't get a chance to replay it, but I'll tell you this. If it's goal line and your center sitting on his butt, that's not a good block. There's no scenario where the center will be sitting on his butt and made a block on the goal line. There's no scenario. So he got run over. That's not good. Barton has not been playing that great this year. He just hasn't. And what's wonderful, we're 6-2. Tristan Wirfs played as bad as I've seen Tristan Wirfs play in his entirety of his career here. Tristan Wirfs did not play well. Some of it was the crowd noise, okay? Some of it was Chase Young just beating him on the edge. How many times have we seen that? Back to the goal line. Bad play calling, no movement. I didn't think the runners were running hard. Man, if you don't get a yard, I want you to slam in that line and try to do something. A lot of tippy-toeing going on, okay? And it just and in one of them, you should have kicked the field goal. After you get stuffed in the first one, 3 straight plays, kick the field goal. At that time, it was 7-0. Kick the field goal, go up, and they can't score on you. So I didn't like a lot of the play calling. I didn't like a lot of decision making. And then going back to Tristan Wirfs, Tristan Wirfs that's his worst game that he's played. It was two false starts, and playing in New Orleans is a bitch, I'm telling you. 2 false starts, but Chase Young was getting after Tristan Wirfs. I probably haven't seen that happen since way back in Tristan Wirfs' rookie year against Chicago, okay? That's a long time ago. And it's going to happen. Tristan doesn't look 100%, and he won't be 100% the rest of his life. Having a procedure this year on his knee's probably 70%, and he's playing that way right now. He should be fine as you go. He'll be a good guy that will benefit from that bye week at this point, because I'm sure he's still trying to get himself into football shape. It's not an easy thing to do. It's nice having a kicker who is automatic from 50 plus. McLaughlin's 8 for 8 this year, 50 plus, which is crazy. That doesn't make any sense. You're 8 for 8 usually in 30 and below, not 50 plus. And it's a good weapon to have, and it's nice to see. Offensively, we didn't run the ball well enough. When Rashad went down, Tucker jumps in there. Tucker bounces the ball too much. Sometimes you got to lower your head and get 3 yards and not try to bounce it and get 10. That's one thing that's bothering me. And just as a whole, the offense wasn't clicking to me. And then Baker just, at this point, you got to question his health. And I was talking about when I talked to Jay Retro on his podcast just before my podcast, and when you're in the ninth week of the season, you're not hurt. You're just not healthy. You're not hurt. It doesn't mean you have to go get go to the trainer and you're just not healthy. It doesn't mean you need a surgery. You just played 8 games. Baker Mayfield plays an aggressive style of football. You can't do that forever. Very few quarterbacks have done it for a long period of time. And the last 2 games, he's looked like he's not been that daredevil, and he was the first seven games, unfortunately. Back in the day, when we saw guys on the field playing above their heads, we used to joke around and say they're making money. Anthony Nelson was making money yesterday. Real. First of all, I said in the first quarter, and this was really before he went off, I was talking to my boy Josh, and I go, I think he's better than Reddick. Like I'm not dogging Reddick. I just think when Anthony Nelson's there, he makes more things happen in his limited play. And he played a whole lot yesterday, and he had a J.J. Watt type of game and made J.J. Watt type of plays. That's a strip sack, a fumble on a running back, interception for a touchdown, 2 sacks, numerous pressures. I mean, old boy was making money. I think that's a beautiful thing. And now the Buccaneers were out. They were going to go out and look for a pass rusher. They were playing fast yesterday. They were playing fast like I haven't seen them play in a long, long time. Antoine Winfield Jr., his name resurfaced. I haven't really heard his name a whole lot in the last, really all season and going into last season. It'd be nice for the old Antoine Winfield Jr. to resurface. And the Buccaneers defense is making plays, which is a beautiful thing. Antoine Winfield Jr. had his interception was just pretty much thievery. And just as a whole, the defense played crazy aggressive. Even though they bent a little bit, when you give them three points, that's especially when your offense is not really driving, you give them 3 points, it's hard to complain about anything. Now, they got a bye week. Then you got to play the Patriots. Then you got to play the Bills. Then you got to play the Rams. 3 tough teams. The Patriots have been playing well. The Bills are the Bills, and the Rams are pretty darn good. So at this point, when the Bucs are 6-2, you have the ability to lose 2 out of the. I'm not asking for it, but if they lose 2 out of those 3 games, and you go 7-4, that ain't the worst thing. We'll still be on top, and we'll still be in a good situation. And then the last 5 games are really not all that crazy. We got Carolina a couple times. We got the Saints again. There's games that we're probably going to win. But the Buccaneers are sitting in a wonderful situation. Baker Mayfield, get your ass in the ice tub. Get you some saunas, get that aches and pains out. And we hope that when we come back and we're playing the Patriots, that Baker looks different. Hopefully we have Gadecki back. Hopefully we have Bucky Irvin back. Bucky Irvin's missed 4 straight games. And if you guys listen to my podcast, one thing I never do is get excited over a running back. Everybody was so excited over Bucky Irvin. What has Bucky Irvin done this year? I don't get excited over running backs because they're a dime a dozen. Everybody got so excited over Scatterboo. You think you're going to see Scatterboo run over somebody again? Maybe not. It's just, you got to be a certain style of running back to last in the NFL anymore, and there's not many like it. I mean, other than Henry, nobody's lasting. Nobody's lasting. It's tough sledding out there. But our Buccaneers are in a wonderful situation right now. If you're a Buccaneer fan, you got to feel good about yourself. And listen, they're in the driver's seat. And you win 10 games and you win the South because there ain't a whole lot going out there. The Falcons stink. Carolina doesn't really scare me a whole lot. They really don't. Well, I think I like where the Buccaneers right now. I really do. If anybody wants to come and hang out at a Dignitary Cafe, we're open every day from 10 till midnight, Monday through Wednesday, and Thursday through Saturday. We're open until 3 a.m. and on Sunday we're open until midnight as well. So best creative and kava in town, and just a nice place to hang out. Watch the games. We got a big screen here, and you never know who you're going to run into when you're watching all the games. So come hang out and have a good time. But I appreciate everybody tuning in every single week. hit subscribe, hit a like, and all those things you're supposed to do so I could get paid. And let's hope that in 2 weeks we're talking about the Buccaneers going, 7-2. 7-2, you're making the playoffs. And life is good. Everybody have a wonderful week, and please be safe. Peace out.
You know, some lawyers want to look like superheroes on a billboard, but which lawyers are regarded as superheroes in the courtroom? Trust the expertise of board certification.
Call Manny and Gordon or visit us at fightnegligence.com.